Echo 5, do you copy? Echo 5.
Echo 2, good morning. Nice of you to drop by.
Feeling alright, sir? Thought we lost you.
Right now, I feel like I can take on this whole podcast myself.
I know what you mean. Ready to send that transmission to Echo Base?
Yes, sir. R10, patch through.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Hoth Transmissions. Tonight we are going to be discussing the latest episode of the Book of Boba. By the time you guys listen to this, you might think episode 3, but actually episode 2. So we're going to cover basically chapter 2. It's going to be pretty epic. But first I want to talk a little bit about Galaxy's Edge. I spent all day yesterday there. I literally spent 12 hours there, and it's freaking amazing. Like, I totally forgot it was Disneyland.
It's funny it took you this long to finally go. I just went like 2 months ago, so it's funny because it's been out for a long time. Everybody that I know has been there except for me, and then of course now you.
No, I know. Like everybody I work with, they're like, "Have you gone to Galaxy's Edge yet?" I'm like, no, not yet." They're like, "You're the biggest Star Wars fan. How have you not been there?"
It's funny because
I'm
not
busy.
not like I have anything against Disney, but I'm not like a huge Disney fan. I mean, obviously I have a lot more respect for them for what they do with Star Wars recently. Some of the, especially what we're talking about now, but I'm not like a big Disneyland person because I don't care for big crowds. And
I'm the same way.
Plus, I know if I go to Disneyland, $1,000. So I'd rather just kind of stay away from the temptation. So when that Galaxy's Edge come out, I was definitely intrigued. I knew I'd eventually go, but I just finally went 2 months ago, and I can honestly say it was very, very what's the word? It was very underrated. It was a lot better than I thought it was.
Dude, like literally, like the group I went with, no, there's only like maybe 1 or 2 people that are like hardcore Star Wars fans, like I am. I spent most of the time walking around with him because he used to work at Disney, and so he was walking around telling me everything about Disney, everything. Cool. And so I was like walking around just like completely enveloped and so amazed by everything.
All the attention to detail, huh? Yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know if you've ever been to like Harry Potter World and Universal Studios. It's actually, I'm not the biggest. I'm okay with Harry Potter, but I was actually super impressed with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Studios. This was like as good, if not better. Like the detail was just like you can go to any random room and there's like a market, or there's a toy shop here, a cantina, and then there's a ride here and there. It's very detailed. And then I know you're about to talk about Rise of Resistance, but it's the whole environment is what blew me away. Like when you finish the ride, Rise of Resistance, not only did that ride blow me away, but when you arrive at the end of it, you're riding at like an actual like spaceport.
Dude, literally,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
The screens they did on that was phenomenal, and the attention to detail on everything in Rise of Resistance was pretty solid.
How'd you like the live? I know it's not an AT-AT, or is it an AT-AT? Or
it is AT-AT, yeah.
From Last Jedi. Okay, it was an AT-AT.
I don't think it was from the Last Jedi. I think it was just a standard AT-AT.
It was just a standard AT-AT. Okay.
It was. Yeah.
I don't all-terrain something transport.
All-terrain
armored.
Yeah.
All-terrain
armored transport. All-terrain and armored transport.
I don't know the names of the ones that's actually in the Last Jedi, but I was thinking it was that. But no, you're right. It was a standard AT-AT, and I couldn't believe.
Yeah, because the ones in Last Jedi would be a lot bigger than those ones.
That was insane. That was absolutely insane.
Dude, it's pretty funny. So like, you go on the ride, and you're basically a bunch of resistance recruits, and you go onto a ship. They're taking you to the resistance base, but then you get intercepted by a Imperial Star Destroyer, and so then you end up on there. You walk out. You're escorted by a bunch of Imperial troopers, which is the staff, and you're sent to a prison. It
I
was
love
actually
how
pretty
like
funny.
I like how like in character they are too.
That's what I like
They're a
too,
bunch
but
of a-holes.
I threw them off guard because I went on it twice. The first time, I didn't focus on the ride as much as I wanted to. I
Did they
was
think you were
mostly
General Hux?
it was something like that. Like I was
I'm just kidding. You look like General
take
Hux. So
I
probably.
was taking a video and I was posting it to the hotspot story, right?
Oh yeah.
And so
Okay.
one of the Imperial officers saw me doing it, and they're like, "Hey, are you sending secret messages to the Resistance?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm actually receiving a message from General Hux." Completely threw off the staff member. They didn't know what to say after that. They're like, yeah, sure you are." And
Oh, it's like
I was
all over
just
my shirt. That's funny.
I was chuckling the whole time. And the second time I went through, my buddy was standing there and he did something and they commented on it. And they were like really hounding him. And I was like, "Oh yeah, sorry. He just had a bunch of spice and the a bunch of the Huts are after him." I'm like, he's laid a little bit too much on the death sticks, and they looked at him like, "You might want to stay off the spice." And then they walked away. It's pretty funny.
That is pretty funny.
They didn't really seem. They didn't really expect me to really like jump in and like play in character with them, but I took the
Yeah, they're
opportunity
probably
because I
not.
thought it'd be
They're
hilarious.
no, they're probably not used to that. They just have a script. That's pretty cool.
But
Yeah, no, it was
overall, I really
definitely
like Galaxy's Edge. Like
it was
I got
awesome. Yeah.
I have a Sith obelisk that's just chilling on my desk that sits there and pulsates with the red light.
Did you have a chance to build your lightsaber?
I didn't. I'm gonna do that next time I go.
Oh man.
My
Yeah,
brother
you
and
missed out,
nephew
man.
are gonna be going.
Yeah, you
I
need to
may have
go
missed
back and
out,
do that.
but I literally
No, no.
spent 12 hours there and I didn't experience everything I wanted to.
Well, that's the thing.
And
Now you have a reason to go back. You have more you can do. I haven't built a droid yet either, so I'd like to do that.
see, I want to do that too. I didn't do that either.
But
So
building
those
a
are,
lightsaber is cool because it's actually an experience. It's a whole thing. You actually are in a class. They teach you. They tell you the importance of the
I built a
lightsaber, what each
lightsaber.
part does. I know, but it's the whole environment is what's cool about it. I know you've actually built one like with an actual
Yeah.
engineer and everything, but it's just it's the experience. It's fun, and these ones are actually really cool. You know what I noticed? I was messing around with the lightsaber the other day. You know the old FX. I don't know the lightsaber you have, the super expensive legit one that you have. I don't know if it does this. Yours obviously turns on and
Spent like
the
800 bucks on it.
booms. Yeah, that one. But you know, it's like the $150, $200 FX ones. How like you smack them on something, they clash, they make a sound, and I didn't realize the Disney ones when they clash, they shine white, which is cool because that's something that the FX ones don't do, unless the new ones do it, and I'm not aware of that. But the ones I have don't do that. They just boom and they make the sound when you smack them against something, but the Disney ones actually shine white, like they're reflecting against another laser, which is cool.
Oh, mine does that, and I think the Black Stars ones do that as well.
So it's probably like a new updated FX thing because the
Mm-hmm.
ones I have are actually probably more than 5 years old, so that's probably why they don't do that. They probably just updated the effects and everything.
And
But I think it's cool.
speaking of the lightsabers, though, I felt so bad yesterday because I was in Doc Condor's shop yesterday, right? They have the dark saber there, and oh my gosh, it looks so cheesy.
Oh,
It
the
looks
FX
so
ones.
stupid.
Some of the FX ones don't look good, like the Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi and Obi-Wan's Revenge of the Sith on Through a New Hope style lightsaber. You know the one that has like the skinny neck at the end, right before
Yeah,
it goes to like the crown,
they don't have
like
that, huh?
no, they have it. It just doesn't work. The FX saber, I think the best FX saber I've seen, like the one that looks the most like the authentic one, is actually I think Luke's or Anakin's Revenge of the Sith one, or
Yeah,
if you want to call it Rey's. That one actually
I
looks the
have
most legit of the ones that I've
the
seen.
one I have. I wish I saved the box, but the one I had was titled Luke's lightsaber before Anakin's,
Yeah, that's the one I have too. It's my
and
list how it looks as well. That one actually looks
yeah,
good.
but I felt
That
bad
one looks
as at
good.
Doc Ondor's station, and there's this couple that came in. You can tell they're Star Wars fans, like legit, and they're walking up, and he's like, "Oh, can I see the dark saber?" Like I literally looked at it, and I was like, "Oh man, I've got to save these couples from wasting their money on this cheap Just cheap thing. It does. And so I literally showed them a video of the darksaber that I got from the Black Series, which any of you guys that are listening 100% get it because it looks freaking legit. I'll post another video on the hotspot.
The Black Series one does look good then?
It looks like it belongs on screen. Like it's 100% like accurate.
See, that's the thing with these replica ones. You have to really kind of be careful where you buy them from. I mean,
okay, so
Disneyland's gonna overprice stuff for sure.
So so let me give you a little bit of context. So on the Black Saber or the Dark Saber, you can see it on the screen. It has like a thick black center and it's a very light white edge around it, right?
Sure.
The Disneyland one at Dark Ondors, it's a very thin black in the center and it's mostly white around it. And it looks really cheesy and off. The Black Series one is completely black with a very light white around it, which gives it more of a real effect.
No, I've kind of
I'll post it again tomorrow so you guys can see, but
collecting over the years both Star Wars replicas and I'm gonna give a quick example of some of my Lord of the Rings swords. Certain shops, like after you collect for a certain while, you kind of start noticing more detail. Like I remember buying Sting, for example, from Lord of the Rings. This is just a little off top, and thinking it was legit, whatever. And moving on, like going to other stores, shopping online, and knowing what the actual one looks like, and knowing the movies a little bit more, and going back to that same or similar movie mall type of sword store. It's totally freaking cheap, like the one that I have, but I didn't know because I was very experienced in what I was looking for. And same with Star Wars, some of the FX sabers, some of the different brands, like the pricing. You look at the pricing, the ones that are over $100. Sometimes they're not always bang for your buck. Like sometimes they're cheap. You have to kind of, I don't know. It's funny how because you have experience. Star Wars really well and you collected for a while, but some people just don't know. They're just going to spend their money. Oh, it's expensive. It's nice. It's an experience. It's Disneyland. I'm going to get this quality. But you have to kind of really know what you're looking for before you spend that kind of money. Because then you're going to find down the road a couple years later, like what happened with me with my Lord of the Rings sword, you're going to find out you have the cheap one and you spend all this money on it. And there's way better ones out there, So.
Yeah, like I was looking at a lot of the ones that have Dark Ondors. Like the lightsabers are kind of cool, but if you guys are really gonna want to spend money on a lightsaber, look for the Black Series. Go for the Black Series. Maybe not for the Luke and Obi-Wan's one, but for any other one, do Black Series.
Yeah.
Because I know
probably cost a little bit more.
Obi-Wan and Luke, like you're talking about the skinny neck. That one is really thick and it's kind of lame.
Yeah.
That's why I never got the Return of the Jedi Luke or the Obi-Wan one. I had to build my own from I think replica prop forms I got from there. They sent me like a little kit, and so you built it randomly.
Yeah, the one you had looks really good. That's one reason I actually never really got some of the other FX sabers because they don't really look as good. There's a couple, like I said, that look pretty good. But from what I saw at the store, I don't know if I saw the Ahsoka sabers. They looked like they might have been legit, but I don't really know. I would still be skeptical to buy them there. And they definitely probably going to.
The Ahsoka ones are cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ahsoka ones are pretty basic. So between Black Series versus Disneyland Ahsoka, they're very similar, from what I saw. I think the ones at Disneyland are a little bit bigger.
I would literally like Google like movie prop of a handle and look at the image, just kind of look at the detail before I actually bought one. I'd compare it to the one that's actually at the shop to see how. Well,
both are very accurate as far as detail.
Actually, better yet,
thickness.
I take a picture from the visual dictionary.
And as far as thickness, though, as far as thickness, Black Series is more compact and more movie prop.
That's cool.
Whereas I think the ones at Disneyland are more kind of like, oh, all right, let's show off to all the fans, and anybody that's just a casual fan will be happy with it. Which, I mean, if you're a casual fan and you're happy with it, great. But if you're a fan that really wants like solid replica and something that's a little bit more compact and easily to maneuver, I'd say go Black Series. Because I'm actually going on YouTube and looking at some of the videos on how to kind of like do some random lightsaber like styles.
Mm-hmm.
And the Black Series ones are a little bit easier to maneuver with just because the handles aren't as thick.
And yeah, I was gonna say they're not as bulky. They're more like the movie prop. I mean, the movie prop was obviously easier to use. That's why the actors and stuff people were able to use them a little easier.
But the lightsabers from I think it's Savvy's Workshop.
Uh-huh.
The build your own. I think those are actually pretty legit.
I like my build your own lightsaber.
I can't wait till I do my own.
Yeah, I could send you a picture of mine. I like one thing I like about those two. I like how you can get the different crystal and you can change the color. You swap the crystal out and get a different color, and I think that's kind of a fun touch. You can kind of collect all the colors. I have
except for the black one. The black one's hard, but I can tell you I can get one for $20.
Okay, well if you can get me one, I'm definitely gonna give you $20 because I want that one. I know it's supposed to be rare. It's supposed to be like they said it's supposed to be like the red, like the crimson crystal, and it's supposed to be like one in 100.
If you don't mind it being like the actual crystal from Disneyland, there's a Etsy shop that they actually make the crystals.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so they sell it for $20. You can pick the black one, and they'll sell it to you for $20. So it's not gonna be like the one you get from Disneyland, but if you only care for like the effects of it, yeah, $20 isn't that bad.
That sounds legit. That sounds really cool. I definitely go for that because, yeah. But I'm really happy with my Build-Your-Own lightsaber. I like it too because it seems pretty legit. I mean, it's 4 or 5 different pieces that you actually have to screw together and comes apart, and the whole crystal feature I think is really cool. And it's like I feel like it's like a FX saber except for a little bit more detailed. So, but I like it a lot.
It's more attuned to you, your style.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I'm excited to do because I really want to do Savvy's Workshop so I can be able to kind of make it to what I envision the lightsaber to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you enjoy it a lot. So what'd you think about this episode?
Bro, this episode was actually a lot different than what I was expecting.
It's funny because the first episode, I was like, okay, this show's gonna be good. I like where it's going. This isn't Mandalorian quality, but it's good. It didn't have that the pilot for Mandalorian, the first episode, it started off with a bang and it got me right in. This episode, the first episode, it was good. And of course, there's the Sarlacc pit thing that everybody's want to see. We talked about that in the last episode. But, I wasn't thinking like this is amazing. I'm going to tell everybody about this. But after the second episode, I was talking to everybody about it. I enjoyed every last minute of that last episode.
Dude, the second episode really drew me in. Like, we talked about in the last episode where they got 2 story arcs, and you even mentioned that we're going to be seeing a lot more throwbacks.
Yeah, we were talking about how, I mean, we didn't know, but we were guessing that we'd probably see more of it.
Which, and you were right about more flashbacks. Yeah. And they spent more time focusing on the flashbacks than I did on the actual storyline.
That is true. It was like
I'm not gonna lie, I actually really enjoyed the flashbacks more than what's actually going on in present time.
They were both intriguing. How did you? I love one thing that I really liked, just a small little detail. It was really cool to see Jabba's entrance from the other angle.
True. You're talking about the entrance, right?
Yeah, in the very beginning, you see where you see 3PO and R2-D2 in Return of the Jedi going towards the door. It's really cool seeing these kind of details in these shows where you're returning to kind of like in Mandalorian when you return to Mos Eisley spaceport.
Right.
You're seeing different like versions and different views of what you've already seen, and you get to explore more, and it's a lot of fun. Another quick example, it was cool to see that Attack of Clones flashback with Daniel Logan as Boba Fett, and you're just seeing different angles. You see him like running and watching the Slave One fly away. That was super cool. You know, when he's kind of dreaming when he's in the back to tank.
All right, so a lot of people have been coming up to me asking me about what's to do with the back to tank. And I gave my theory last episode about it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about it?
I think it's like you said. It's like it's got to be healing him. He's got to have some type of injuries and damage from the Rancor, or not the Rancor. Sorry, the
Or do
Sarlacc.
you or do you think it's because he's a clone?
I don't know. Actually, I thought it was from his injuries from the Sarlacc pit.
That's what I was thinking too, but then I started thinking, what if it's because he's a clone? And it's some way to kind of like correct a lot of like the inaccuracies.
Huh. Guess we'll find out. That could be something to explore. I mean, this show. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say just as you, like the show really hasn't explained anything, and so we got 5 more episodes to really explain why he's in it, and we got a lot of theories about what it is, but there's only one answer, and I wonder if the show's actually gonna like talk about it. And I feel they would.
What's cool about what the show's doing is it's basically it's telling his story about what happened from the time he got out of the Sarlacc pit up to where we're at in Mandalorian, and then at the same time we get to see the present day story. That's a really fun way to tell this Boba Fett story. It's awesome. It's cool to see him kind of build up his power in the present day, but we're also getting to see what happened and we're getting to go more into his character. So I wouldn't be surprised if they explore a little bit more of him being a clone and the effects of that, the effect that being a clone has on him.
Yeah, because what if he's not as perfect of a clone as we thought he was? Maybe being a clone has its own issues that that we're just not aware of.
Yeah, that could be.
I mean, we see the accelerated clones, we see the clone troopers, but we see the effects that they have. But we've never actually seen a clone. Outside of Rex, we haven't seen any older clones.
Yeah.
That are kind of like deteriorating because of the effects. And so I'm curious if we're gonna see anything like that, or if maybe we were right in the last episode. Maybe it's just something to do with the Sarlacc, or maybe it's just because he's been out in the sun with the Tusken Raiders for so long that it's damaging his skin.
That could be it too, or maybe a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Something to do with being a clone. He's more, sensitive to the Tatooine suns. I love the interrogation of the ninja assassin. The guy who, remember we talked about last episode, we were wondering where these guys came from, who dispatched these guys who attacked Boba Fett and Fennec. And we were kind of guessing that they could either be sent from the mayor, Mos Espa, or the I forget what our other guess was on it, but anyway, I love how it starts off when they're interrogating him, and the guy's got no fear, and he's basically trained to not give information to his death. He just that's who he is. It's his training. But as soon as Boba Fett's like, okay, get him to the Rancor, he was scared. He was like, oh crap. He just gave him that look. And then he goes down, and it's what's funny about that scene. I got all excited. I'm like, oh man, the Rancor. And funny how I completely forgot that the Rancor obviously is dead. But like when he first went in there, I'm like, holy crap, we're gonna see the Rancor. And then I'm like, okay, never mind. But that was a really cool sort of throwback to Return of the Jedi, and it was cool to see the room. And you can kind of look up, you can see the door, the one that smashed him, and you can even see the little panel where Luke threw the skull. Against the little control panel that shut the door and killed the Rancor. It was kind of it's fun to explore these things that we've seen, but seeing from another style and view and angle, it's really cool. That's one thing I really enjoy in these TV shows.
Dude, when they dropped him down, I was so excited. I was like, man, did they have a baby Rancor? Because we saw in what was it? Bad Batch. Or they kind of like alluded to how they first got the first Rancor. I was like, okay, maybe Bib Fortuna got a new one. And then there's nothing in there. And I was like, oh man, that's so disappointing. But lucky for the guy that was dropped down there.
Yeah, no, that was definitely really cool. You could see a lot of I know there's a big presence of Trandoshans, and kind of throws you back. He's walking through the town with Fennec and his Gamorrean guards, and you see these Trandoshans just kind of staring him down. And
I did notice that there was a lot of Trandoshans. I was actually kind of curious about that.
Yeah, and it's just kind of funny because you look at them, they have that smile, like it's like, are they welcoming me or wanting to kill me? Like you said,
basically.
like you said in the first episode, no, even a compliment from the Trandoshan appears to
Seems
be
like a threat.
Seems like a threat. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. What do you think about his armor? It's like super clean and slick.
Okay, so when I first saw it in The Mandalorian, I was kind of like, all right, Disney's kind of
It's all
doing their own
polished.
thing with it. I thought it looked a little cheesy because, not gonna lie, I was kind of like, I wish it was back to the original style in Return of the Jedi because that's how I see Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes
All
sense
beat up.
because yeah, I mean, he's got his armor back; it's all clean, it's new, and especially Saint Mando with his shiny armor, he's like, oh yeah, I got to step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. That is
I
true.
actually really like how clean it looks. It
looks
they did a really
I,
good job with it.
I honestly want a figure of the new clean Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Actually watching this entire episode. There's a few times I'm like, oh man, I would totally get that figure. I'll totally get that figure. They better make a figure. I'd love to get a
I think
Black
there's a Black
figure
Series
back
where
then.
I think there's a Black Series figure of it, and I think I have it
Of clean Boba
pre-ordered. I think I have pre-ordered.
You put one on there, I'll give you some money.
Fair enough. Let me double check and I'll let you know.
Yeah,
But
let me know.
if I do come across one, I will definitely do that for you.
You know,
Because
kind of random. I just dug up collection, getting rid of some of the old. There's old pieces of figures and arms and guns and things that I haven't used that were in a box. I was just kind of cleaning up a little bit, throwing some things away that I wasn't using, and I forgot that I have a 1983 Gamorrean Guard.
really,
from the original Return of the Jedi collection.
throw that on the story, dude. Like a lot of the stuff you have, like throw it on the story. I'm sure a lot of our followers would love to see some of that stuff.
Yeah, I'll put them up, but it's funny because he's totally got the coverings you were talking about that George Lucas originally wanted to have them with their shirts off, but it just didn't look as good with the
Oh, that's right.
spectrum. Yeah, it's funny because I'm looking at him. You could see his armor all on, and he's got that little, the furry skirt. Definitely looks like cheaply made, but it's totally vintage. I'm looking on the leg right now. It says LFL 1983 copyright. Yep, it's total vintage. That's cool.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty cool. I don't
Yeah.
have too many vintage figures.
I know. I only have a couple. I have that, and I have an Ewok. Other than that,
I think I have an Ewok in Village. I think my dad got that, and we have it stored somewhere.
That's awesome. Yeah, everything else I have is from like 1995 on up till now. But there's a lot of Black Series figures I want to get, but especially after watching with this new Star Wars, there's so many cool characters that I would totally collect.
Yeah,
all they're making now is Black Series, but I would buy them anyway. There's some good figures out there that we'll cover. One thing I thought was really cool is the Ithorian. We had the translator, but it was really cool to see an Ithorian.
yeah, because I think the last time we saw an Ithorian was in New Hope in the Cantina. I don't think they really used them much after that. I know they use them in I know they use them a lot in the video games, but they haven't really used them in the movies.
They use them in Clone Wars, especially in the Samurai Jack version of Clone Wars has an Ithorian Jedi, and he uses this cool power that kind of has this force that kind of energy that kind of blows people away. It's
force
kind of
push.
cool. I don't know. No, it's like this. There's this thing that like he does with his like diaphragm.
Yes, I do remember. I do remember that.
I don't know
that's
if
pretty
that's canon
sick.
or not. Honestly, I don't know if that's an actual thing or if that was just.
I really wish
it's
that
in the Samurai
Jack
thing. Yeah.
I really wish that was canon.
Because it's in the Samurai
But I don't
Jack
think
version,
it
I'm not
is.
sure.
I'm pretty sure it isn't. I know it isn't, actually. I know it isn't. But
It is
there
really
are some cool things in it that I wish they kept as canon. Because a lot of it fits in. They could easily toss a lot of that around the Clone Wars series.
Yeah. It's crazy that so they bring that assassin and they just kill him.
Mm-hmm.
They have it's like, okay, we're done with this guy. He used his purpose, and they just let him die.
Basically.
And that was kind of jacked up.
So I like that speaking of assassins, I actually kind of liked what they did, how they kind of created a new assassin group called the Night Wind.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that actually.
They haven't been mentioned in anything other than Boba Fett.
Okay, so this is a new group,
Completely
like
new.
Pike Syndicate.
As far as I know, it's new. Unless they've been
Okay.
mentioned in comics, which I'm not aware of. I'm pretty sure they're new.
Gotcha. They how Boba Fett totally has no fear. He's just totally standing up this guy. He doesn't care. He's like the
Bro.
Wild West for him. He just doesn't care. And I like how the Ithorian was basically like, okay, this is a little bit more complicated than bounty hunting, running a family, running an empire like this.
Yeah, he's
So,
like, just to let you know, I did not dispatch the Night Wind. But
running a
you
family
don't
is a
know
lot more
you
complicated.
have
Yeah.
no idea what you're getting yourself into. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the mayor of Mos Espa, and you're barely dipping your toes into what you're about to get into. So let me tell you what you're dealing with. I did not dispatch these guys. They're not supposed to operate out of the hut space. So I'm thinking
Yes.
the Night Wind assassins are specifically huts,
Okay. And
and that's
that was another huts in the show. That was nuts.
yeah, which we get a little bit later, which is phenomenal because
Are they CG?
I'm pretty sure they're CGI. Definitely
That was
CGI.
pretty that was pretty good. Pretty dang good, man. I like how the one had the little, fan, they're all typical fat, lazy, aristocratic type, you know.
And I think all the huts are that way. And is it just me or did you find them really weird? Because they're
They
supposed to be
were
twins. They're twin. They're called the Twin Sons, and it was a sister and a brother, and they're just basically just sitting there on top of each other, and it felt really. It seemed really awkward when we first saw them.
yeah,
I was like, okay, let's
yeah,
roll
they're
with it,
just
but they're a little bit
but
closer
it
than they should be.
yeah, no,
But that
it
just
was
could be
definitely
our earthly perspective.
for sure. But they definitely Boba Fett again showed his fearlessness towards the Huts. He's just like, okay, Huts, I don't care. Get out of here. This is my town now. And
Yeah.
and then tell us about this bounty hunter they introduced.
Let's see.
Legends
Oh
comics.
man. Oh yeah, Black Kirsten.
Black
I'm not
Kirsten.
even sure I'm saying it right, but Black Kirsten or Kristen. He's from the comics. He first appeared in Darth Vader comic #1. And you kind of see him briefly because he's looking at Boba Fett very intimidatingly. And they knew each other before then. Boba Fett's worked alongside him, so they know each other. And so it's kind of interesting to see them on opposite sides. So you can kind of see them as bounty hunters. And so I'm wondering if he had kind of like a sense of respect, but at the same time, what the hell are you doing, Boba Fett? I'm going to have to go against you. So I'm wondering if Black Kirsten thinks he's better than Boba Fett.
Yeah, I don't
Or
know.
if he's like, he can't wait to challenge Boba Fett because of his standing. But
Yeah, I
I
don't
did
know,
love
man.
what Boba Fett said. He's like, what is it? He said, hold on, one second. Your cousin Jabba is dead. His cowardly majordomo usurped his territory and then they killed him. All that is his belongs to me now. Your sister's right. If you want it, you'll have to kill me for it. And I thought that was pretty cool because they threaten him. You can see that one of the twins wants to kill him. The other one is like, bloodshed is not good for business.
Yeah,
And so Boba responds with that.
yeah, she was all straight about business with that. She's like, oh, bloodshed is not good for business. That
that was really cool to see a Wookiee too. That was another thing that we haven't seen in these shows yet, in the real life shows. It's you can almost see that he almost has like a little bit of a different design from the movies,
Mm-hmm.
but still looks really cool.
Yeah, because
So
we see him
that
in
was cool.
Revenge of the Sith, and we see him in Solo.
Yeah,
And the ones in Solo are kind of pathetic, but that's only because they're
yeah, they
slaves
look.
and they're malnourished.
Yeah,
So
the
now we're
solo
seeing,
ones, the solo ones definitely look a bit like Planet of the Apes-y kind
hmm
of.
and but both is like you can bring as many gladiators as you wish, but these are not the death pits of Dur, and I'm not sleeping. I'm not a sleeping Trandoshan guard. This territory is mine. Go back to Nalhutta. And
So
for those of you guys that don't know, Nalhutta is actually the planet where the Hutts are from.
yeah, it's like a swampy, nasty planet.
Yeah, very much so.
So the so Dur, I'm guessing that it's like a gladiator type planet. So the Wookiees were basically enslaved after the Empire or the Republic became the Empire, and didn't they use them to help build the Death Star and other things? And
hmm
we kind of saw that they were slaves in Solo when you saw them at Kessel, and they had that whole slave break thing going on. Um, anyway, um, they basically used Krrsantan to um, basically fight in the gladiator fights on planet Dur.
And you'll see that more in the comics. Pay attention to our posts. I will post on Instagram which ones. If you're really interested in seeing which ones he's in, I'll do a comic book order for you.
Where you also might see him in the Obi-Wan series, from what I understand too, because in the comics, Krrsantan actually attacks Owen Lars and gets in a fight with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He does, yes.
And so this
That's where
looks
he
like,
gets his scar.
yeah. So they could show that now that they've introduced him, he's canon, he's in the show. He could definitely show up in the show, the Obi-Wan show, which it's interesting because I was always wondering what the heck could they do with Obi-Wan? He's on Tatooine. There's only so much you can do on Tatooine. You see, this Boba Fett show is pretty much, it looks like it's probably all going to be Tatooine. And
Yeah, I feel so. I don't really see them moving too much past
no,
Tatooine.
yeah, and so far it's completely entertaining. There's still a lot more to tell, and
hmm
so it shows a lot of potential for the Obi-Wan show. There's tons they can do in just one planet if they have to.
hmm
So that's exciting. Speaking of exploring the planet, all those Tuscan scenes, man, the flashback scenes, which was probably 60-70% of the episode.
Basically, like after we see the huts, it
Yeah,
basically just goes straight into the flashback scenes, which I found 100% interesting, more
yeah,
than the main storyline.
yeah. No, I agree. It was completely entertaining. It was really cool to see how he was gaining the trust of the chief and all the people, and he was starting to gain a friendship with them, and he was starting to work with them. And man, there were some good scenes in
Oh
the
yeah,
in those flashback. I don't even know where to start. I enjoyed every bit of that.
oh
One,
yeah, absolutely. And before we jump into that, I kind
yeah,
of wanted to comment on something,
hmm,
which I thought fascinating because Boba talks about killing them, and then
uh-huh,
Fennec turns up and says, "We need permission to kill the huts."
yes.
And I
Oh
found that
yeah,
fascinating. I
yeah.
thought that was
Okay,
interesting. It's like, okay, why do we need permission to kill the huts? Like seriously, Leia in Return of the Jedi had no permission, just killed the huts and no repercussions from it.
yeah.
So what would be different from Boba pulling out his blasters, killing both of them right there? Because they're sitting there challenging him for the
There's
territory.
there's got to be a higher power in place right now.
And
Um,
who is that? That's my main question.
is is it Kira? Because
Ooh, that could be something.
it in
But
the
she's more
crime,
Black Sun and
but
Crimson Dawn.
in the crime world, the one on top when we saw Solo was actually, it was Darth Maul. But now we know Darth Maul at this point is dead. So
Right.
she could have succeeded him. It could be Kira in the place of leadership right now. But this is also, I mean, she would be a lot older now. There could be somebody else in place. But it's just fun to speculate and throw it out there.
Yeah, very true.
Who do you think it
And
is?
then I don't know. I might actually agree with you on that. There might be some higher power, but I'm not exactly sure where.
Yeah.
But it might be a crime lord that has some authority over the Huts, which is
That's the
interesting because the Huts are generally known for basically being the higher power.
Huts are
And so
gangsters.
I'm wondering if they're going to explore any of that.
Yeah, like the actual the hierarchy of the criminals.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they're going to do that in the Book of Boba Fett, but it might be expanded somewhere else. But it might be a plot hole that they're just not expecting to really cover or
Hmm.
people to pay attention to. But
I don't know.
that's
That's
one
what's
thing that
cool.
really
That's a
confused me. It's like, okay, who do we have to talk to before we kill a Hut? Are they
what's
endangered
a
species, or are
it's a cool thing about
or is
these
there some
shows.
kind of code that we have?
What's a cool thing about these shows? You have time to explore these things. With the movies,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of don't. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's why they have books and comics and other things to tell these stories. But the shows, you have more time to actually spend. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Time will tell, man.
Yeah, and just for you guys that are watching and you guys didn't pick up on it, um, before I jump into the flashbacks, um, there's a little Easter egg
Mm.
where the male Hut utters the word Mirdashani, which means bounty hunter in Huttese. First, it was said by Greedo in A New Hope, and then it was one of the Zamwazel's last words in Attack of the Clones.
Oh,
I don't know
that's
if
right.
anybody caught that.
I didn't catch that. That's interesting. When she died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she says Mirdashani.
Very Johnny.
I never
Okay.
caught that until
They
later.
also they also use the fu in Huttese a lot in Ichu,
Which
Ichuta.
is
Ichuta.
Ichuta. Yeah.
Where you first heard it in Empire Strikes Back when C-3PO walks into that room in Cloud City in Bespin and
Mm-hmm.
and that droid, he's like,
Ichuta.
oh yeah, Ichuta. He's like, oh, how rude, like and of course you hear it throughout the rest of the series. But yeah, there's some fun Huttese little words that you can catch if you know it, if you're well versed in your Huttese
Yeah, basically.
in your
Basically.
Star Wars linguistics. So
But
yeah.
jumping back into the whole flashback scenes, man, bro, I'm just baffled by like a lot of the stuff that happened here.
Hmm.
Like, I like what they did because they start off with Boba Fett training with he's training with the Tatooiners, learning their style,
Uh-huh.
and I know you and I were training a little bit with lightsaber styles in your backyard one day. And the specific style that we were working with is the exact same style that Boba and the Tusken Raider are doing. It's called the Taru Style.
Okay.
And I remember you and I were doing the exact same moves with the exact same sequence.
Oh
And
yeah, that's cool.
they kind of replicate it in the show. Like
It almost, yeah.
watch it again,
It's
and
almost like
I think you'll remember. But
yeah.
as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember doing that in the backyard of Echo 5 or Echo 3. Can't remember what Echo number you are.
Echo, Echo 5. That's all
Echo
good.
5. There's so many echoes now. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
The so I think in particular the character that I think is going to be really fun to kind of explore is that one that appears to be a girl, that warrior.
Yeah, it is actually portrayed by a girl in the.
Okay.
So it is a girl, but they haven't really defined that in the series. But it's
Okay.
a female actor that plays it.
Well, she is freaking awesome. That shot with the train heist when she speeds up and then she literally like it's a scene that could have gone completely cheesy. There's a few scenes like that where with Boba Fett too, when
Mm-hmm.
they're jumping off the bike and there's an explosion right in the nick of time. They catch your typical kind of action shot. But holy crap, those shots were awesome. That
Mm-hmm.
I can watch that shot again and again where the girl, the warrior Tusken Raider, rolls up to the train and just full on, like no hesitation, just jumps right on with full confidence onto the train, and
Bro,
Peter's
everything
explode.
she did in this
Yeah.
episode was just phenomenal. I was just impressed. I was like, man, the
Or when she's
stunts they
fighting,
did with this,
she was fighting
everybody
with
that
Boba
was meant
Fett.
to be was badass.
Well, then when she's fighting with Boba Fett, like he like knocks the stick out of her hand, it like flips, and she just catches it and just keeps going in the fight. It's just like,
Dude, yeah.
yeah,
It's like,
just
okay, you thought
awesome.
I was done, but
No, she's
you're
just
over. Kind of goes with what Palpatine, when he's talking to Luke, he's like, your overconfidence will be your downfall or whatever. I forget what he said.
yeah.
And it's kind of the same with Boba Fett. Like, Boba knocked it out of his hands, like, okay, all right, I won. But JK, you didn't.
Yeah. The that I know, jump a little ahead on that one though. That whole train sequence was absolutely impressive. And again, it was cool to see the Pikes. We saw them in Solo.
We saw them a lot in Clone Wars. And then we
Yes,
did see them again in Clone Wars. But we never
but in
saw them without
Solo,
their mask.
but in Solo was the first time we saw them in real life, like a live action
Mm-hmm.
Pikes. And
That was the
then
first time we saw them without their mask in real
without
life.
their mask, yeah. Yeah, that was cool. The one of my favorite sequences was gosh, I forget the name of it, but how cool is it seeing that was Anchorhead, right? That was totally Anchorhead.
It was Tosche Station. But before
Oh,
we jump into that, so while they're training, if you remember the Tusken children, they're searching for the Black Mountains in the desert.
yeah. Oh, yes.
Training.
Yes. The frog.
A creature called a wart emerges from the sand.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
This
exactly.
was first seen in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Where the frog that catches the little bug thing walking around.
Yep. And so it's kind of cool to see that.
That was really cool. That one was that looked more like a baby one in Return of the Jedi. It looked like a giant one, but it could have just been the shot. It looked like it was a giant wart in Return of the Jedi. But yeah, that was really, really cool.
It says the white rodent with a single antenna on its head that the male Hutt uses to wipe its brow appears to be the same. Because the male Hutt that used in the present time wipes his head.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That little creature that's walking around that it catches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. The Hutt was wiping his face with it.
And so that's one thing that I liked about Boba. So Boba first starts off as a prisoner, right? And so he's kills this giant random creature, which we still have no idea what the name is.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a post on it, on a theory, but no definitive name has been attached to it. But now we see Boba he's earned the respect of the Tuskens.
Mm-hmm.
And so now sees that they're sitting there doing their thing, and this train comes along and starts shooting at them, and he's like, okay, all right, well, that's not cool. Give me a couple rifles. I'll be back by morning. Let me prove to you guys how loyal I am.
Yeah, they actually let him go.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by that. But they respected him enough that they trusted him.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I will make sure that these guys will not kill any more of your people. And so we go to a familiar spot from A New Hope deleted scenes. And it's Tosche Station, and we get to see two characters from the deleted scenes.
Luke's old friends.
Yes. And I think their names were Cammy and Fixer.
And their hairstyles are exactly the same too. They totally look 70s.
Bro, like seriously, when I look back at the deleted scene and I match these characters to who they were, they look almost identical.
Yeah.
I would have thought they were the same actors, to be honest.
Yeah.
They did such a good job with them.
And they had those I like how they had like those Nikto biker gang guys.
Yeah, and the Nikto biker who takes some of Fixer's food and drink calls him Pidonki, which is Huttese for boy. So if you guys want to learn some Huttese, we'll teach you a little bit of Huttese.
Just pay attention to the show. You'll learn a thing or two. You know what's funny?
Yeah, basically.
It's funny. I'm looking at my figures in the office right now, and I actually have a Jedi youngling of a Nikto. So it's funny because it's actually like adorable. But
Did they really? I don't think I've seen that one. I haven't seen that action figure. You have to text me a picture of it.
It's just funny because the Nikto and the Mandalorian and Boba Fett are all a bunch of a-holes.
Basically, like I have not seen a Nikto that is. I mean, even Hondo, he's a Nikto, and he's kind of like a
He's kind of a jerk. There is a
kind
Jedi.
of.
There's a Jedi Nikto in Attack of the Clones, but it's more
That's right.
background.
He dies super easily against Savage.
Yeah, but they have one in actually that was in Attack of the Clones, but it's more of a background extra kind of character, and they actually have a figure of him. So
True. I don't know if any of you guys caught this though. Symbol on the Nikto swoop bikes. Uh, it's also on the back of the jackets.
mm,
But if you
the
look at
logo.
it, yeah, if you look at it, it's a skeleton of a Kinton Strider. It's a creature from the same planet as the Nikto, which is visible as the club-wielding holographic chest from a Tajaric piece in the original Star Wars A New Hope. The skeleton figure on the symbol even carries the same club. And so it's kind of cool because the Arbor's word printed on the jacket uh, translates to Tatooine. And also one of the jackets has the name of Emmett printed near the bottom.
That's cool, man. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's just a lot of Easter eggs. Like if you're paying attention and you have your little thing of Arabesh translated next to you, you can sit there and translate a lot of the stuff that appears on screen.
And
And
actually,
that's one of the things I like about the show is just Star Wars in general. It's not just Mandalorian, it's not just Boba Fett, even Clone Wars. They've really taken Arabesh and they've really flushed it out to where you can really look at an alphabet of Arabesh and translate things. Even going through Galaxy's Edge, like I mentioned before, like I'd walk around and I could sit there and translate things, and it was insane. It's like,
yeah,
oh, okay, this is what this is. This is what this means.
it's awesome.
And so, another cool thing about this whole scene is, um, what was it? When Boba shows up, it's a little bit of a reference to the bar fight in Terminator 2.
Hmm.
And so, especially when Boba Fett throws the biker through a glass window and then walking outside to choose a bike,
Oh, okay.
it's followed by a brief scene of Boba Fett speeding off on the stolen bike. It's very similar to what they did in Terminator 2.
I love how Tatooine has that whole Western thing all the time.
Dude, I love it.
You just walk in
I
a
think,
bar, he beats these guys up, then he takes a drink and then leaves.
dude, like seriously, like when you look at Tatooine, it's like you look at this planet, it's just complete desert wasteland. It's like, why would I ever visit a place like that, like this? Or we see the movies, it's like, oh, we're back to Tatooine, or we're to Jakku, or whatever it is. It's just like this desert planet just looks so boring that they jump into these. They're able to create these scenes that make the planet seem more interesting than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
With escaping the Sarlacc pit, even developing the Tusken Raiders, making them more humanized,
Yeah.
is something that I thought was phenomenal. Because before in Attack of the Clones, Return of the Jedi, and New Hope, even in Attack of the Clones during the pod racing scene, you just look at the Tusken Raiders, it's like, okay, these Tusken Raiders are just a bunch of nomads. They're just very barbaric characters. They don't really have a sense of moral.
Yeah.
And in the Book of Boba Fett, which is in 2 episodes that we have, they pulled. I want to say they pulled stuff from the Knights of the Republic. Because in a little history on the Knights of the Republic, if you choose the light side and you actually go into the Tusken Raider encampment, they talk about how Tatooine used to be this lush planet full of oceans and trees, and then a bunch of people from other planets bring in their ships. All of the pollution, all of the crap that they bring in completely destroys the planet and turns it into a desert planet. And they kind of mentioned that a little bit, how there's Tatooine used to be full of oceans.
Mm-hmm. Used to be green.
And yeah, exactly. And so you can kind of see why the Tusken Raiders are kind of on their own and kind of hate outsiders. And
Yeah.
it's for that reason.
It's pretty much it's Tuscans and Jawas that are pretty much original inhabitants of the planet.
I don't even think the Jawas. I think the Jawas are just there as addition to scavengers. I think they're just scavengers in general and just saw it as an opportunity. I think
Just
the Tuscans
down.
are the original, like
Actual originals.
habitation.
That's really interesting. It's cool to see their culture and just the way they do things. It's pretty, and it's fun to see how Boba Fett just kind of becomes one of them.
And he does a really good job doing it too. Like,
Yeah,
because he shows up with the bikes after, and he's like, "These are my gift to you."
Yeah.
And they just start.
And then they start.
He's like, "Whoa! These are mine. Stop taking these apart."
It was super hilarious watching him train them to use them too.
I honestly would say so. That was one of probably my favorite scenes of flashback. Is just being able to see the Space Commanders develop from a non-technology culture, jumping onto these machines and learning how to use them in order to protect themselves further
from the machines.
From the machines.
You got to use machines.
And it just seems so off. They did not seem like they belonged on it.
Yeah, but they were pretty awesome when they finally figured it out.
Yeah, they're jumping in fully a lot. That's comedy. But once they got it, they got it.
Yeah. That was of course that it's not the first time we've seen a train action scene in Star Wars. We got a cool one in Solo on Orvala 7. Sorry, it was a different planet. Orvala 7 is actually a desert planet on Mandalorian. I get it mixed up with the snow planet on Solo. Actually has a similar name. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it has a similar name. But that whole action sequence we talked about earlier, but it was very epic. It was super well choreographed and filmed. It was really awesome. And
I have to say this. So forgive my pun, but I feel this was a quote unquote training episode. If you get my drift.
Not so much of a train wreck.
Not so much of a train wreck, no.
But this was also the icing on the cake for Boba Fett to prove himself and become accepted in the culture of this group of Tuskens.
Dude, seriously, I love the choreography upon this whole train sequence.
Yeah, and of course we get the Pikes, and I love how he basically shows that he's better than these Pikes. These guys they're just shooting people randomly. They're just driving around this train, just randomly shooting because they can, and then.
See, that's what I was confused about. Is why is this train going around just shooting Tusken Raiders?
Yeah,
I know they explain it towards the end where they think that they're just a bunch of nomads in the desert that are just lawless, but still, they could just drive their train through. The Tusken Raiders can't really do anything against them, so why sit there and waste your time pointing your gun outside a window and shooting them all? It's just basically target practice.
They're just bad people.
Yeah, that's basically what. Yeah, they're just doing it for target practice. Like literally, there's no other reason for them to kill the Tuskens. Because the Tuskens really proved no threat to them until Boba shows up, and Boba's like, no, this is gonna happen.
Yeah, he's like, you're messing with the wrong guy now, and I love how he they spray out, they let all the water out. They're like, okay, you're gonna walk. This is where you're gonna walk all the way to, where did he say to walk?
Anchorhead.
Anchorhead. Okay, I was thinking.
It was Anchorhead.
Yeah, you head this way, you'll find Anchorhead. There's a transferred off world, and the guy's all freaking out about the water because they're clearly, you can see when the mask comes off, they look like a type of water species, and they probably depend on water more than, let's say, a human or of course a Tusken.
Right.
And he's like, okay, well, you can figure out how to live off the land just like these guys have. They've been doing it. You can do it too. Figure it out. You know. and hey, he's being generous. He could have killed them all right there. He's giving them a chance to survive. Not that they might not, but they have a chance. At least he's giving them a chance. He's got the moral high ground here, you know. So.
And a quick side note, because I love throwing Easter eggs out here. I mean, not to cut you off, but like the attack on the armored train by the local tribesmen is an allusion to the Lawrence of Arabia. It's a 1962 film, and you can see in the final credits with the attacking Tusken Raiders are clothed in white, much like what Lawrence himself had described. And so it's kind of cool to see that there's a lot of references to other films that's being drawn into the Book of Boba Fett. Just Star Wars in general.
That's cool.
Yeah, random side note.
No,
But
I've heard that before too. But yeah, Star Wars does that a lot. It kind of parallels or sort of follows after certain classic scenes in movie history that
mhm.
that is clearly inspired by, but definitely makes it great. But that so he goes back to the village, and what happens, man? He basically becomes one of them, and it's cool because at the end of when we first see him, his very first appearance in Boba Fett in Mandalorian season 2, at the end of the first episode, you see him looking over on that awesome shot with the horizon of the two suns, and he's watching Din Djarin right off in the sunset with his armor, and he's wearing
That's
that
right,
hood,
yeah.
and he's got the gaffy stick. He's basically, we're leading up to this point to where we met him in Mandalorian. Yeah, you see him get his robe, and it's interesting to see the whole ritual of how they wrap each other. It's like an acceptance. It's not just
Well, just even before that, just like
yeah,
how they become one. Like,
yeah,
seriously, he comes back from the train wreck, and they're doing their whole sign language thing, saying, "Oh, I've got a gift for you."
yes,
And they show
oh
like
yeah,
this little lizard thing, and I'm
just
like,
comes up his
okay, all
freaking
right.
nose. That was
Which is
crazy.
cool because the mystical journey that Boba takes to find the branch is reminiscent of Native American rituals that are depicted in Carlos Castaneda's in his book Teaching on Don Juan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually where George Lucas took his inspiration for the iconic phrase, may the force be with you. And so I know that this whole experience with Boba Fett walking to the tree and getting the whole branch, it seemed a little different, but at the same time, I thought it was pretty epic. I thought it was great.
It
I
was
loved
really
seeing it. I was like, okay, this is different, but I love Native American culture. I love a lot of this style of just history that I love seeing it implemented into a Star Wars live action series.
It was almost like Dances with Wolves in Star Wars. You get
Basically, yeah. And it really draws into the Western style of it. And
sure.
it doesn't just stick to the cowboys and aspect of it. It kind of really shows you the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's or you could say it's like Avatar. Or, no. But it's really cool to see him how he built that gaffy stick.
Dude,
And
I thought that Gabby stick was probably the best of any Gabby stick I've seen.
yeah, no,
I
it
like the
was
style of it.
again, and this is one of the figures I was telling you I'd love to get. I'd love to get the Boba Fett with the gaffy stick in the wrapping and in the Tuscan wrapping. That would be an awesome.
And for those of you hardcore fans, when he is constructing his Gabby stick, the wreckage that's seen in the background is actually based off of a Tuscan render painting by Ralph McQuarrie.
Oh, the wreckage with the kind of curved looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually saw that. I saw that in a YouTube video after I watched the episode.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah.
That's it.
But
They're
again,
doing
I
that a
love
lot in this Star Wars, which is cool.
they've done it in Rebels, they've done it in Mandalorian, and they've done it here. They even did it in the sequel trilogy. Not as much as I'd like, but or
They
not
use a lot of
sorry,
Ralph
not as much
McQuarrie.
as I noticed. But I do like that they are pulling a lot from Ralph McQuarrie.
Yeah,
And his art is just brilliant. I'm loving that they're really bringing to life his vision.
yeah. Well, even in Rebels, the character Zeb is straight out of one of the original
Mm-hmm.
concepts of the Mos Eisley.
Yeah, exactly true.
Man, and then of course and then you were talking about the sort of dance, the style of fighting. That whole dance they're doing around the fire and that sort of ritual.
Dude, I thought that was so cool.
You know what it reminds me of, and I think they incorporate a little bit, is
The
Tamara
Haka.
Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the
Yeah.
Haka. Tamara Morrison's a New Zealander. He's a Maori,
Mm-hmm.
and that's their sort of war dance. And it's cool to see that it looked like it had a little bit of a touch in that dance and that style they were doing. And it was
Yes, very much so. And I thought it was really cool to see Indian culture
mhm,
mingling with the whole New Zealand culture and Maori. Oh, I'd say more Maori warrior dance culture
which
from.
that's what Star Wars does. That's what Star Wars is based. It just brings everybody together, and
Yeah,
it
and
yeah,
yeah, and that's one thing that I like about Star Wars is that it doesn't matter what culture or what background you have. Star Wars is so vast that every planet will encompass every type of culture. Like one of my favorite
exactly.
things is like one of my favorite classes in college was anthropology. I love studying other cultures, and the fact that they're really pulling a lot of these different cultures into not just the movies but the TV series as well. It's really fascinating to me, and I love making the connections because it really shows how diverse the everything can be,
Yeah,
and it's I don't know, it's just really phenomenal. I love how different cultures think, how unique every culture is, and that's one of the things that
it's
I
really
hate to
fascinating.
bring like today's politics into it, but everybody's trying to be the same, and we're losing a lot of the differences that really separate us, that really
People
make us unique. And I
people
think
are
Star Wars
also
really kind of like implements a lot of the uniqueness from every aspect of every culture,
yeah.
and that's really the most fascinating thing that I can think of.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good. Um, yeah, there's definitely going to be some epic cosplaying going on pretty soon in these. There's a lot of cool costumes and things that they're introducing in these shows, and that's one thing I'm really enjoying. Again, I'd like to get figures of a couple of these new characters that we've seen and costumes and whatnot. But
Oh, dude, I was at Galaxy's Edge and I could already tell some of the costumes that they have there are going to be implemented into Boba Fett cosplays. You're going to see more Tusken Raider cosplays. I don't think I've really seen too many Tusken Raider cosplays, and I feel like
oh, you're gonna see
it
that. You're gonna see
we're
that
going to see
warrior.
a lot more,
You're gonna see that warrior for sure.
especially with yeah, a lot more variations of what we're familiar with.
And you're going to see that Boba Fett costume too, the Tuscan Boba Fett.
Just like
It's
we
going to
see
be
all the Mandalorians, like we saw the Mandalorians walking around with the different colors and the different styles.
uh-huh.
I feel like we're going to start seeing the same thing with Tusken Raiders, just
Yeah,
as much diversity.
for sure. Um,
Um, so my question is, because so you know how we see the main story arc with Boba Fett trying to take over Mos Espa and the Hutt Empire,
uh-huh.
and then we're getting these flashbacks with the Tusken Raiders. Do you think they're going to play a role in the present day, or do you think it's basically Boba Fett learning techniques and that's what's going to be helping him in his takeover, or do you think he's going to call upon these Tuscans to help
I
him?
think that's going to happen. I think that it's all going to tie together. I think you're going to get a
I know it's
background.
going to tie together. I just don't know
Yeah.
how. Is it going to be the training, or is it going to him calling upon the Tusken Raiders to back him up?
I think that eventually the Tuscans might somehow get involved with his fight against the crime syndicates, so that way pretty much show his power and to see the support that he has. He doesn't just have Fennec. I mean, he's got a whole tribe of people that are original natives that are actually awesome warriors that have his
Especially
back
since he goes against the
and his
tech
respect.
syndicate and says, "You guys are not going to pay tribute to the Tuscans because you're going upon their tribal land or
Exactly.
ancestral land."
Yeah.
And so I feel that we're going to see the Tuscans more in the present day. And so it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, like you said, he said he intends to rule with respect, and he has the respect of the Tuscans, and that's basically what he's doing. Is he's getting that same respect around the town that he got from the Tuscans, and I think that he's definitely gonna have their support for sure. I think that
Oh yeah,
that's probably going to be something to do with. I bet you we're going to have some type of awesome finale where he's going to be caught in a rut somehow, and these Tuscans going to show up, and he's going to get some support. It's just going to be awesome.
dude, and we're
That's
gonna
yeah,
probably love the Tuscans a lot more.
yeah.
Like, because like I said, like we saw in the movies, the Tuscans are kind of like these nomadic creatures sitting there, just literally during a pod race, they're just sitting there shooting
Just
the pod
randomly,
racers. It's like,
kind of
okay,
like
these guys are kind of assholes, or they're kind of like
they're
jerks, right?
basically doing what the Pikes were doing on the train. They're just randomly shooting people.
Yeah, and so now we're getting a little bit of purpose, a little more understanding behind them. So I'm curious of
Yeah,
how they're that we're looking at the Book of Boba, we're getting to know them a little bit more, and we're gonna understand them a lot more.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we're gonna see them a lot more by the end of the season in present day. Maybe going against the Hutts. I wonder if they're gonna do like a huge war against the Hutts. That'd be something interesting.
No, there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot they can do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where the end of the show is gonna go.
That's what's cool about it. And we haven't even seen it in the trailers either. So we're just kind of going in, enjoying whatever shows up.
And I think that's one thing I like about it, because like you watch Rebels, you watch Clone Wars, and you know what's gonna happen because you've seen the movies. Okay, the Jedi are gonna lose the Clone Wars. You know they're gonna die. In Rebels, you know the Rebels gonna rise up, the beginning of the Rebels, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Here, the Book of Boba, it's gonna play a different story. We have Boba, as far as we know, died at the Return of the Jedi, and here he is back.
Yeah.
So this is a whole new story arc that we can't sit there and go, "Oh yeah, I've seen the movies. I know what's gonna happen." This is like completely new. It's like anything can go. Bubba could end up losing and Fennec take over. The Hutts could take over, and it creates a whole new story arc. I don't know. There's tons of opportunity or different things they can do with it. Although I doubt Bubba will die, but it's just a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean,
Time will
just
tell.
like we saw Rogue One, we didn't think the whole cast was gonna die, but you know, whatevs. Who cares about them anyways? They did their job. But
Mark,
we'll get more into that when we cover Rogue One. But I mean, I don't think you can go the rest of the season. We're pretty excited. So, guys, be sure to comment below. Tell us what your thoughts are. Like, even comment on our posts. Like, we love hearing the discussions that you guys give us. But also give us a like. It really helps people find us better when there is more activity, and especially when you share with your friends. Helps people find us better on YouTube and our different podcast platforms. So be sure to check out the links in the description where you can find our Discord, where you can chat with other fans like yourselves and discuss the mysteries of the Star Wars universe. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram, where we continue to post updates and news and some new shirts that shows your love of Star Wars. Then we have you covered. We have the designs that we worked on and know you love. So check out our Teespring. Links are below. We'll be relaunching our website soon. We've already done a couple reviews of the Book of Boba Fett, but we've got tons of more stuff planned. So please keep an eye out for that. And may the Force be with you.
always.
Echo 2 out.
Echo 5 out.